Hey guys, what's up? This is Morgan from Morgan Led Insights, and welcome back to the channel, and also happy Saturn retrograde, y'all. So in today's video, we are going to be discussing the 2020 Saturn retrograde transit in Aquarius and Capricorn. So Saturn entered Aquarius on March 21st. However, Saturn is actually going to station retrograde depending on where you live on either May 10th or May 11th. Saturn will stay in retrograde in Aquarius until July 1st. On July 1st, Saturn is still retrograde. Saturn's retrograde is not over until September 28th, technically January 3rd of 2021. But on July 1st, Saturn is going to leave Aquarius and move back into those final degrees of Capricorn, really highlighting those major lessons and themes and responsibilities and commitments and everything that you learned, the wisdom that you acquired while Saturn was in Capricorn is really coming back for refinement, showing you one last time, hey, you can do this better. So really going back to those foundations, those plans, those programs, those business thoughts, those ideas, our financial situations, all of those things that really create this foundation to be able to build upon. When we talk about Saturn and Capricorn, we're talking about structure. We're talking about learning patience. We're learning how to build things. We're learning how to plan. We're learning how to persevere. We're learning how to use our resources within limitations, within constraints, and really being able to rise above that and create something that is long lasting, but doing it from this perspective of longevity, and not only longevity, but of emotional maturity, really making sure that we are taking this in from a standpoint of, okay, I have to be dedicated to this. I have to do the work. This is not going to be necessarily easy. Anytime we're dealing with something with Capricorn, it's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to put the work in. So for a lot of us, the past 2.5, 3 years has been a very heavy labor intensive period where we've been planning and learning and studying and getting the hands-on practical and professional experience to be able to ascend to this new Saturn in Aquarius age, where we are becoming those teachers and those influencers and those let's say role models, or a lot of us are moving into leadership positions, and we're moving into those positions of curators where we're curating community gatherings and curating community discussions and really collaborations. There had to have been prior work done to that. And that is the Saturn in Capricorn transit. So with Saturn moving back into its retrograde station in Capricorn, those themes are going to come back this summer and really, towards to the end of the year. Really, we're going to have to go back and refine. So I just wanted to say early on in the video that if you do start to sense this feeling of like, I thought I already cleared this, be conscious of, no, you have already cleared this. This is an opportunity now with the wisdom that you've acquired. You know where you're going now, right? Saturn in Aquarius, over the past 2.5 months, a lot of us have really had time to process our sense of higher purpose. What mission do we want to serve? How do we really want to share and be a light barrier or a water barrier to the collective? Because when we're talking about Saturn, we're dealing with the planet that is one, and a lot of astrologers, and myself included, consider Saturn to be like Papa Supreme when it comes to our self-discipline and our self-recognition and our self-control and being able to self-regulate. Just think about this whole work from home pandemic crisis. We've had to learn how to be our own self-regulators. We're coming from this period of Saturn and Capricorn where we're so used to people telling us when we're supposed to do it, how we're supposed to do it, why you're supposed to do it. And now we're moving into this sense of, wait, now even like you'll see it even in the politics and governments, individual states, and not even just states, cities, and not even just cities, towns are having to make their own independent decisions. So we're moving away from this perspective of Saturn giving responsibility through authority, rather than now moving towards Saturn giving responsibility through the self. The self is responsible. That is what we're moving towards, is we're moving away from this emotional and material and physical and intellectual justification of blaming other people for our decisions, for how we have maneuvered through resistance. And Saturn in Aquarius is asking you to sit with that. And so with this being a retrograde period, this is a process of realization. And if you think about Saturn, in astrology, Saturn has other names. In the Greek, right? In the perspective of the Greek, Saturn is known as Chronos, or as time, or Phaenon as the revealer. So if you put those two meanings together, Saturn is the revealer of time. And so this period with Saturn retrograde is asking you to sit with this idea of time. How do you regulate and manage your time based on the future that you want to build for yourself? It's all about self-regulation, where Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is really becoming aware of the internal blockages that you have. But Saturn is not focusing on the emotional blockages, because we're not in emotional-based signs. We're dealing with Aquarius, who is the 11th sign of the zodiac, who is also attributed to being the water barrier. And if you look at the symbol and the emblem and the essence of Aquarius, Aquarius is an air sign. It's a fixed air sign, which means that it has this concentrated focus, this concentrated ability to really see thoughts clearly. It doesn't have all of the emotional and social attachment that Libra and Gemini has. Aquarius has a detached manner to really purify thoughts and to see things very clearly, very logically, very precise, from a very scientific, evidential type manner of being willing to see things in a different light. So because Uranus is Aquarius's modern day ruler, people have this belief that Aquarius are rebels. Aquarius are only rebels because they are willing to see things from a different light. They're actually very practical. We just don't see their version of practicality because we're so rooted in the traditionalism of Capricorn. But that's what we're breaking away from. We're breaking away from being constructed into one thought and being able to come to a collaborative table of diversity and say, I think this, well, I think this, well, I think this, and be in agreement that we're all right. That is what this Saturn retrograde is really starting to bring awareness to. But before we can get to those tables, before we can walk in those leadership skills, before we can be an influencer, before we can share the knowledge and the wisdom and the achievements and the accolades that we've been collecting, because Saturn and Capricorn was a time of collecting. Everybody wanted to be important, so everybody's like, okay, I'm going to get this degree, I'm going to study this program, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to learn that. We were preparing our tools. That is all Saturn and Capricorn was preparing our tools. And because Saturn reveals, it strips things away. It strips things in a way, in a completely different way than Pluto does. And I'm going to give you an example by explaining the narrative of the planets, but it strips things away. So it always makes us feel like we're losing something. Saturn in its light feels like loss. When you feel like you are losing things during a Saturn retrograde period, you are gaining, especially when it is in a sign that it feels rejoices in. Saturn is Aquarius's ruler. So Saturn and Aquarius love each other. Saturn loves Aquarius more than it loves Capricorn, because Capricorn is rigid. Capricorn has to do all of the hard handiwork, where Aquarius gets to take all of that hard work and patience and perseverance and play with it and see it from a different perspective and evolve it away from the restrictions of thought, and is now free and fixated in thought to explore and to focus on one thing. So a lot of us are going to be coming into this period of shedding and coming to this realization that you have to let things go. Dreams are going to, I'm telling y'all, dreams are going to be lost in this Saturn retrograde. You're going to realize that you cannot do it all. And the beauty of that is that you're going to realize that you need help. And the more that we realize that we need help, that we don't have to do it on our own, the more that we can actually come together, and the stronger we become as individuals, because now we're moving into what economics and businesses, and my whole background is in business, and it's really funny how I ended up in astrology anyways. But anyways, is this principle of competitive advantage, of doing what you do best, of hiring outsourcing, this period of outsourcing what you do that's okay, and focusing solely on what you are doing best. So this is a period of refinement. Be aware of what is not working. Be aware of what is not efficient for your time management. And also be aware of what is not in your future. If it doesn't make sense, if it has nothing to do with your long-term plan, let it go. But be willing to be realistic about what you are actually able to achieve and the time manner that you're trying to do it in. Be more patient. A lot of the things that we're going to be experiencing are not going to fully come into manifestation until 2023 anyway, because Saturn is not something that you can understand while it's happening. Saturn needs to have the passage of time. Literally, it means the passage of time. You need to allow time to pass. What you learn in Saturn and Capricorn's transit is just now, like, you're just not even really able to even process what happened to you. So why are we in such a rush to jump into the next thing? No, take your time, refine. Take your time on refining who you are, what you actually like, what you want to be doing with your time. And be willing to adjust and to delegate and to let go. You do not have to be the superior in all aspects of your life. Other people are better at it than you anyway. If somebody is better at what you're doing, why are you struggling to do it? Let them do it for you. That's their gift. So this concept of like what keeps coming to me over and over again is like this image of the Silk Road, right? Everybody, if you think about Saturn in its meaning as an individual is makers. Saturn's births makers that make things by their hands, right? That's why a lot of Capricorns are, sculpting artists. They like to work with raw materials and they deal with things of the earth. And Aquarius likes to really use their body to move and to express, because Capricorn, that energy of Saturn likes to use what it has. It's this idea of the maker itself. And so with this idea of creativity as business now, which is the norm, everybody is a maker. Everybody is making their own products. Everybody is making their own book. Everybody is making their own everything. So we're moving back to this reality of like the modern day Silk Road, where everybody just comes and we're barters. You know, it's this new economic through sharing, this new economics through small business. And we're seeing that as through everybody's now becoming micro entrepreneurs. It's all happening. It's just happening very small. You know, it started 4 or 5 years ago where like this entrepreneur thing took off. And now it's the norm, where 5, 6 years ago when someone said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, it was like, what? And now it's like, oh yeah, me too. Me too. It's this Me Too thing. And it's bringing us back to this realization that we don't have to do it all. We all are one. We all have unique gifts. And the best thing that we can do now as a collective is really take our time to process how we can refine and delegate and be more efficient and be more productive in terms of evolving our consciousness forward as a group. And Saturn retrograde is going to, one, show you where you are feeling inferior or where you are being too prideful, and you may be acting out of ego and doing things out of wanting to feel validated and recognized as an authority figure rather than being an authority figure, because you already are. So it's this sense of becoming and being. There's this contrast of what you want to be and what you already are, and utilizing the tools that you have available to really step into that fully. That's all that's happening. You're not really becoming something. You're just stepping into it. You already are it. You're just stepping into it. So it's really just a process of refinement, really understanding how independence can be expressed in a way that is liberal and also that is coherent. So just make sure that you are acting from a place of efficiency, making sure that you are being aware of where you need to pull back, where you need to refine, where you need to prepare better. What doesn't make sense? If your business plan doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Stop trying to eat around and beat around the bush. It doesn't make sense. You're not making money. Spirit is not going to change that. It doesn't make sense. Okay? So we have to be willing to take all of that emotional attachment that we have to some of our ideas and be more realistic. Saturn in Aquarius is all about freedom and butterflies and liberation and social rights. But Aquarius is very factual and very logical and has the ability to see things from a place of reason that other signs don't have the capacity to do because they're so stuck in their emotions. Where Aquarius is very empathetic to the collective, Aquarius is very withdrawn in its personal life. To the people closest to them, people would say that Aquarius is cold. But to the world, because Aquarius is that symbol of literally pouring out service, a sense of pouring out its emotions, shedding its water to be that carrier of light, is what this is all about. So us learning how to feel our emotions, recognize them as emotions, let them things go, flow in the now, and continue to pour out so that we can grow as one, is really what this whole retrograde season is about, guys. So I hope this video helped, and I will see you guys very, very soon for more. I love you. Peace, like, and subscribe. Bye.